you tell me where the hope has gone? Can you tell me where the love went wrong? Do you remember what it sounds like? We can turn the love back on. We can turn the love back on.
Is my camera moving fine on your guys' end?
Hello, hello. Welcome everyone
Hello?
to InkRadio podcast. Today we're actually joined by a special guest. We are joined by Gingerbread Man. You may have seen him from content that he's made on our... Well, we've been posting on inktv.media, but he's also been posting on his own channel. Welcome, Bread. How's it going?
Going okay. Glad to be here.
Yeah, so what's been going on with you, Bread? Explain yourself. Explain who you are to everyone.
I am a competitive player. I'm on the team Spicy Kraken Rolls. I've recently been diving into the content side of things to try and create some useful yet entertaining things for people to watch, whether you're experienced or just getting into the game, but either way, just trying to provide some more resources for people.
Cool. I'm also joined by our usual guests or hosts, NinewholeGrains or 9 Casino Grains.
NinewholeGrains. $9.
Yeah, 9WholeGrains. That's it. Sorry, I forgot. 9WholeGrains and Kendall, my boy,
Yo, what's going on?
floating in money.
No, not floating. No.
So for those of you who missed the beginning, I wanted to actually air this on Ink Radio, like right after the end of it, so Kendall could cry on stream here. But the thing was that we actually had to get plane flights and Airbnbs booked in like a very quick amount of time. So we had to announce it. So I convinced Kendall to stream at like midnight on Saturday when he never does. I was like, you need to, man. He's like, why? I'm like, you just need to. Basically, we got Kendall wants to go to E3. It's been his dream. And so he's like, it'd take a miracle to happen. Basically, he'd have to get his entire flight covered. And basically, there was a whole situation as well because you have a wedding that's coming up. So I thought of the idea to get all the people from his chat into a server and help donate and fund the drive. And we all chipped in. And he's going to E3, and he also has some extra money on the side to give for a wedding gift for his wife as well. So congratulations. You want to explain it in your own words what happened?
So, basically, sorry. My phone is going crazy. So basically, I wanted to sleep. Like, really wanted to sleep. And all I had was Spoon. And if you know Spoon, Spoon's a very, like, he will try to make you do anything. Like, he's a very convincing person. In a good way. He's a very convincing person. Over and over again, he's like, I was like, yo, Spoon, I don't play Splatfest. Yo, Spoon, I was streaming the other day for like, yo, so many hours, it wasn't even funny. Like, I'm absolutely tired. Like, I was having problems with my setup. And, you know, the thing is, like, E3 was just so far out of my mind. I was talking to my wife about it, and I was just like, yeah, like, you know, it'd be amazing, but, like, this would probably be the last year that, like, I would ever get a chance to even go. Because after this, it's just, like, you know, probably things, trying to get certain things done. I was just like, you know what? I'm just going to forget it. I'm just going to, like, you know, move on. And my whole plan was just to keep it quiet. I don't like telling people, like, you know, this is what's going on with my life. And I need this amount to do something because I never wanted to make my stream about that. And then here comes Spoon that was like, yo, get on your stream. And I was a little worried. Only because like when he was talking to me, because like Bob almost threw the whole thing. I want you to know that. Like he does with his suits also.
Nice,
Bob. The whole entire thing. Because at like exactly 12 o'clock, Bob follows me on Twitch because I look at my emails all the time. And I was just like, yo, Bob has not followed me. And now out of nowhere, Bob is following me. So I was just like, you know what? All right, let me get on stream. I was like, you know what? I'll entertain Spoon. We'll play some Splatfest. And literally, once I heard like my donation, because the thing is, before I couldn't hear it from before, and I chose this one because it stands out. It's like oh, it's like something hype is happening, and I hear it, and I was just like, yo, you can't be serious. So I didn't even look at the number. I walked straight out. And I mean, it's a very common. I do it even on like my normal streams because I don't take lightly when anybody like donates to my stream. I like it means a lot. So I didn't see the amount. I was just like, oh, maybe it's something crazy. So I come back and then I look and I was just like, yo, you got to be shitting me.
Yeah, the note was the best. You missed it.
I read it. No, I read it. I had to. I just couldn't believe it. So like all the support. This has been a dream forever. Ever since like I remember watching like X Play on like G4 TV back in the day. For those that like, yo, throwback.
That's a real throwback.
That's a real throwback. And like watching it, like when I first, when I was watching E3 when I was a kid, I was just like, yo, this is something I have to go to. Like, let me just put it on the scale of the fact that it's like right there next to LeBron. And I said it on my stream. I'm sorry for ranting on about this, but like, it's something that like for me, like I've wanted to like see, experience. I know people say it's not the same that it used to be anymore, but it's something that I want to actually experience. Everybody that's just played video games since they were a kid, like it just seems like the pinnacle of like everything. Also like working at GameStop, but that dream. Once you got older,
working at GameStop's the dream.
Once you got older, when you were a little kid, like it was like, oh my goodness, like yo, working at GameStop seems amazing, and then you realize no, it's absolutely not. Like don't even think that like this is a good idea. So I want to thank everybody that supported. Like I'm gonna figure out a way to repay you all. Like as I said, like I'm going to figure out a way. And thank you again. Seriously, thank you. Sorry for the long rant.
Well, all that to say that Kendall is going to E3. He thought he would never be able to, and I was like, nope. And I just want to point out that his chat is crazy because they managed to get that $550 in 2 hours. So I posted it. To give an example, I went to Kendall and I said, Kendall, what would it take for you to come? He says, a miracle. I don't have money for it. And I was like, okay, but what about hypothetically if that miracle could happen? He's like, well, then I could go. I was like, okay. So right when that happened, I advised everyone in chat that we needed to happen. And it happened, so it was great. So yeah, awesome job, everyone. Congratulations, everyone was donated. Yeah, and I guess we'll preface this announcement by saying Ink TV is going to E3 again. We've confirmed we have everything locked down now. It's Kendall, Walkman, me, Blake, and Hermes or Nick, who are all going to E3 together. So we're gonna be trying to get more content again, more stuff. I'm gonna post a live reaction of Kendall losing when STX wins. It's gonna be amazing. So yeah, it'll be a good time.
Okay.
So yeah, and all that to say that E3 is pretty cool. It's the first time we've all been there. Me, Nine, and Bread have all been there, so we know how it is. It's pretty dope. So it's definitely worth it going once.
Amazing.
Especially with the World Championships.
Yeah, and with Smash this year as well. Like, you picked a good one, Kendall. You picked a really good time to start this whole operation.
Yeah, it's gonna be a really interesting time. I still can't believe it. I don't believe Friday happened at all. Like, I explained it to my wife, and I was just like, it didn't happen. It still feels like a dream.
Well, two moments I want to point out from that stream is, first of all, you said Bob almost threw it. The best part of that quote was when Bob, Avery, and I all appeared in your chat at the same time, because we were all in the same room, like, just talking. And then you were like, all right, Nine's on. Now I know something's up. The three of you were never on at the same time. So that was good. And then when you got up from, you know, being down in that initial moment, you picked up your controller, and your Inkling spun around in a 180 and tossed a bomb right into the water in Piranha Pit, and it was hilarious. The whole thing was just so fun and so emotional, and it was a great time for all.
If only it happened on here. Oh, would have been amazing.
The stream would not have continued. I would just be like, yo, you got to go find somebody else. I'll go get my like brother or something to fill in for me, and it's just not going to happen. I would not have been able to continue.
I'll post the reaction again at the end, so everyone can see it once more. But yeah, we have a little bit. It's a light. I always say this every time. It's a lighter show today, guys.
All the time,
it's gonna be an hour and a half long. So we're gonna get right into it with one of the first topics. With Nintendo has recently found the exploit that's been going around, not for Splatoon in general, by the way, guys. Just for people who've been modding their consoles and they're getting banned from online. I mean, I guess I would have a comment on it, but I guess this means like just be careful with what you're doing. I understand, like at least from what I actually look this up from some people who understand how Splat Hacks works, and from what they tell me is that this is still not visible to Nintendo, but I'm still just going to air a word of caution and say people are now getting banned for using the paperclip exploit, so just be careful with what you're doing.
Yeah,
use at your own risk.
Yeah.
Be careful, everybody. Do what you're going to do. Do it safely. You know, the same talk that you give about lots of things. If you're going to do it safely.
Yeah.
Don't advertise it.
Don't talk about Fight Club.
Basically.
Do you guys want to add anything to that? I just figured I'd point it out there because it was like really recent.
No, I'm not educated enough on what the difference between like what exactly about this is causing it, so I don't really have a whole lot to add to it aside from just be aware of what's going on and be careful.
Yeah, nothing really.
Yeah,
We've had
so
the conversation.
what it was specifically is that there's notifications that get sent from like version updates. So if you're like modifying, it notices it and tests it compared to your last time. It notices it's different and then bans you. But because of Splat Hacks being just the save, apparently that doesn't cause the same notification to go through. But like I said, err on the side of caution, guys.
Well, the one thing that was funny was that, like, when you did get banned, they were like, please call Nintendo to find out what's wrong. And it's like, what do you do exactly? Like, it's like, yeah, my Switch isn't working anymore. I can't go online. Like, what do you tell them? Like, oh, you're banned. Like, what are they going to do?
Yeah. Anyways, all that being said is just watch out. Also, there have been videos of people in private battles having dynamos be as fast as carbon rollers, so that stuff is out in the open. So just be careful for that if it ever happens. Just saying. Anyways, next topic. Just wanted to point it out really quickly here. Everyone, there is a new character in the Octoling expansion. DJ Deadfish, Kendall's dream squid or Octoling lo-fi DJ.
I haven't heard it.
You haven't?
Really?
No. Yo, I've been off the grid. Like, I have not heard anything. I was off Twitter.
Give me a sec. I'll link it to you. All
right. Yeah, you can hear. It's called Deadfish or dead something. Deadfish, I'm pretty sure.
Deadfish. It's
like a zombie Octoling. So Kendall, I know you haven't been around, but I know that Brett, you're totally into it. So explain your thoughts on this.
I really like it. It's a way to introduce a bunch of varied styles into the Splatoon universe that haven't been done before, based off of that mini catalog teaser they released. Those were very diverse in terms of range, and then they posted another new one today, and that one was different from anything that was heard in the catalog. So I'm all for more new music.
Especially the lo-fi. It's way better than those trumpets. Those trumpets suck, man. I mean, me and Kendall are on the same wavelength when it comes to the music in Splatoon.
I mean, the trumpets and the what's it called, the banjo, whatever foolishness that goes on in the background. I can't. I'm sorry. That's why my literally. Yeah, no. We you know, no, no. Actually, I did hear the what's it called. You know, I'm very welcome to that. That's. Yes, if it goes that direction the whole entire time, I'm perfectly fine. And if they can delete the banjo and the forever long going trumpet, actually, like I will be so happy.
I wish you could deselect songs. I'm surprised that isn't an option. Like I know Nintendo is not big on like having audio and stuff removed because that's their experience, you know. But at least give us the option to choose the songs because I feel like the genres are so different. It's like It's like asking someone to forcefully listen to country music if you only want to listen to hip hop. It's like,
Yes.
why are you doing that to us? Like you're like forcing us to try and like genres or something. Like, yes, it's all like Splatoon songs, but they're wildly different genres, man. Like, I don't know.
I want the old system that they had in like Smash 4. How you got to like that song kind of like frequency. You could like up it for certain ones or decrease it for ones. So it's like you couldn't really take out anything. Or no, I think you could. But either way, you could like kind of set it for which ones you wanted to play more often. I don't think that would be too much to ask for.
I mean, I finally got used to it. It's just the trumpet blaring in the background. It's just like the one that's like so obnoxious. It's just like
it's like a super tense moment, and you're sharking, and then suddenly that solo just hits right there, and you're just. I don't mind the song as much as you guys do because
I like Ink Theory.
it's so wild and cataclysmic that I think it fits.
I mean, I like it if I wasn't playing in the middle of it.
Yeah, that's kind of like what I'm saying. It's like it's while playing the game, not really like outside of it.
Put it in Opolis. Do it like as if you're walking in Shibuya, where they just blast music through the aisles. Like walk through Shibuya with that trumpet. You know, I'd be like, damn, this is whatever, but at least I don't have to live with it in the game.
That's all I'm saying.
Maybe one day.
Maybe one day. But the lo-fi hip-hop, that's going to be exciting. And I mean, if this is zombie, like, this just adds a whole new layer to the Squid, like, to the Splatoon world canon and lore. And Gingerbread. I'm going to do that a few times.
It's whatever.
I know you're big on that. You know more about like random world facts in Splatoon than I think anyone else.
I feel like
ever.
you're the
That's
you're
what I'm trying to dig into more.
Yeah.
Okay, so since we have the resident expert lore person, what's your prediction for the Octo expansion story?
Honestly, I don't think it'll amount to much. I think we'll get a bit of background on Pearl and Marina, and it's honestly just going to be like their favorite color, and that's going to be about all we'll learn about them. Not really, but more than that. But I think it's honestly going to be pretty isolated since it is DLC. I don't know if they can openly put it with everyone else, even though they should assume everyone's going to buy the DLC, but for those who don't, I don't know if they can really like tack that on as freely as they would like.
I think they can. It's like saying like Splatoon 3 and Splatoon 2, like I don't know. I don't see why they can't do that.
I hope they do, certainly, but
maybe one day.
Does anyone want to add anything about the Octo expansion, by the way?
See, the problem is I would first have to beat the first story to make it the second story.
Make it a stream goal. Like
right.
if this many subs you
No.
Hold on, Kendall. You're a popular streamer. You know that you're gonna have to string the single player campaign. People want to see it. It attracts the casual viewers. You want to grow your fan base. You need to play the campaign.
No, why did you bring that up, Nine?
Okay, fine. Let me just cover my bases here then. I do not condone that act. I'm only saying it because I know that Kendall's going to react like that. I in no way want anybody to do that, nor do I feel that Kendall will do that. There.
Thank you.
What will he do?
Disclaimer.
Thank you.
Wait, what is Kendall gonna do?
No.
Single player. You heard it here.
Oh, single player. I don't know, man. I think it's a good thing. I think people will flock to your channel, man, if you play single player. You might rage again.
Yeah, the raging, yo, see, like, no, single player's too easy. Why would I rage?
It's too easy!
That's what I want for Octo expansion. I want difficulty levels.
That'd be kind of cool. I play it. If it's a little bit more difficult, I play it.
The best song in the game is actually in single player, though. It's, what is it called? It's like called Buoyant Bounce, something Boogie. Hold on a sec. Splatoon 2 Boogie. What is it? Buoyant Boogie. Buoyant Boogie.
Buoyant Boogie.
Buoyant Boogie. Spoon, you're rubbing off on me. Buoyant Boogie. That's the best song in the game, and it's only in single player, and that makes me unhappy.
I'm unhappy you didn't say Shooting Starfish.
can't always make people happy, I guess.
All right. I think that about wraps up that part of it. It was just some news. Last thing I do want to bring up is something a little bit on the competitive side. Ethereal announced that they're disbanding today. Rest in pieces.
Rest in peace.
I guess I just want to know your guys' thoughts. Was this expected? What do you think about European scene right now? I know that Nine, you brought up before that it's the European mix-up happening right now. So,
yeah, I mean, I say that somewhat facetiously, but I think a lot of people agree that there is a lot of shuffling of different players and teams that's going around right now and just in general. But to see Ethereal go down, that was really unfortunate. I feel like they were one of the teams that wasn't a top 5 team in Splatoon 1 and then became that way in Splatoon 2. Very consistent roster. You always knew you were going to get a great set from them. I mean, they'd scrim with all the top teams, and we're certainly... I mean, I remember at times like debating with people about whether they were a top like 2 Western team. You know, there was a legitimate argument that people were making that they were top 2 in the Western scene at one point. So I think we'll be seeing all these players again here pretty soon. So, I mean, if you're a fan of the players, it shouldn't be too bad. But it's always sad to see a good team like that kind of disband and go their separate ways. But yeah, just another day, I guess.
Brett, as a player, how do you feel about this?
I mean, it's always kind of sad to see a well-established team just kind of go down and just it almost feels like in a Xenoblade context, it's like another Titan just falling into the Cloud Sea. So it's just like not something you really want to see. But I guess a question I do have for that: do you think it's important for like the name to stay alive? Like maybe if they'd keep the Ethereal name, but under a different management? Because, I mean, you know the players are probably going to be playing on various other teams and forms. So I think it's, like, important to keep the name alive, or just move on and then do the obvious rebranding?
I don't think that it's relevant enough. There's only, like, maybe, like, 2 teams where I think that the branding of their team is still relevant. Which sounds bad. Like, I don't mean that. Like, if you, for example, if Spicy Cracker Rolls, God forbid, never want this to happen, if they separate and you guys decide you want to keep Spicy Cracker Rolls as a team name, like, by all means, go for it. It doesn't hurt you. You get to keep some of your fan base, right? But I think, like, if you're looking at the big picture in terms of, like, larger people, I think there's only, like, STDX and, like, Team Olive are like the 2 really like notable that everyone kind of knows. I feel like if those teams dropped off and like their names were gone, that would be kind of big, in my opinion. I can see that. But the other ones are like, yeah, you can keep your fan base, but it's more like it's very insular to the Splatoon community. I feel like Team Olive and Deadbeat, they extend a little bit further than our tight-knit community. It spans to more casual audiences.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can see that.
Kind of like an SND back in the day. When SND died, that's a huge blow, man. That was huge.
Yeah, that was a huge hit.
Duly noted.
So I guess that's what it means. Like Brett, if your channel picks up and you have SKR in it more, you know what I mean? Like that's something where I could then start being like, oh yeah, SKR has this attachment to it.
Gotcha. I could see that side of the argument.
Yeah, I'm looking at it more from like does this have brand attachment larger than just our own audience, I guess is the way I'm looking at it. And Ethereal was kind of like, they didn't do anything to necessarily like expand like crazy to be like, Ethereal's this team. Like, we all knew them because they were good. But
well, they just knew the players.
They used to make the joke that we couldn't say their names properly, so Ethereal. So, you know.
Why? What's it supposed to be?
Ethereal. No.
Eat cereal. Eat cereal.
Eat cereal.
Eat cereal.
All right. I guess we'll get into viewer questions. There were a couple that we brought up kind of as discussions, but I figured we'd keep them as viewer questions. The first one is Nine's favorite. This is from Shaq, and this was a hot topic that we wanted to bring up because we never actually talked about it before. Shaq's question is just three words. And it says views on bagging. And so for those of you, it's what are your views on Squidbaggin if you want to make it more professional.
Professional Squidbaggin.
And I guess if you want to go more into it, I guess this kind of started when there was like this whole thing going on about how Sendo squidbagged someone else that was originally squidbagging, and then they left the game, and it caused this whole uproar of like stupidity. That's the best way to describe it. So I guess just to set it out here, how do you guys feel about squidbagging? Do you think it should be in the game? Do you think it shouldn't be in the game? Do you even care? Just let me know your thoughts, guys.
Well, I squidbagged somebody in real life, so that should kind of tell you how I feel about that.
9. This is a PG-13 cast. What are you doing?
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
You what?
Wait, you never saw the IRL squidbag?
No.
Oh, well, I'll show it to you later.
Well, I mean, your webcam. You could do it right now if you really want.
No,
It's
I'm not doing that.
You really could do it right now. Like you can show us all right now. We're waiting.
There's a bed
video.
behind you.
There's a video. There's a futon. No, I'm not letting you do this to me. I'm not doing this. No.
Do it, man. No,
The
come
point
on.
is, no, I'm not doing it. The point I'm trying to get at is, you know what? I haven't even started getting at my point. So,
Okay, get to your point.
I forgot what it was.
Pointless.
You might remember if you show us.
Lead by example.
There you go. Here's an IRL squidbag for you. You happy?
Oh, come on.
Happy?
Well played.
All right, go ahead.
To kind of bring it back though, the whole idea of taunting or trash talking or squidbagging, whatever form it may be, it's ultimately just a mental tactic. It's part of the game. And I think within the context of the game, it's just something that you have to deal with. It's no different. It's a different form of tilt. And I think that, you know, in any other context, you would agree that, you know, managing tilt and not going on tilt and being able to kind of control yourself mentally and, you know, kind of weather the storm is an important part of gameplay. And I just happen to think that any form of taunting goes along with that. You know, what if you get intentionally targeted by the other team to kind of throw you off your game? Is that taunting? I mean, it's all part of the game. It's not cheating, and while it's within the game, I think it's just something you have to be able to manage.
Brett, as a competitive player of Splatoon 2, how do you feel?
Well, I have a story. The very beginning of Splatoon 2, as it launched, and we had a brand new map called Inkblot Art Academy. So I'm just going into a ranked match, and I think it was tower control. But I just see this roller just squidbagging on top of the left side block, and I'm like, all right, I'll go and kill it. And then it decides to stop squidbagging, immediately jump over me, and splash down. And I'm like, wow, that was genius. I thought they were completely defenseless and squidbagging, but then they just go and body me. And I was like, wow, it's a valid tactic. Squidbagging is kind of legit. Like, it'll throw your opponent off. And then in terms of like the normal use of when it happens after you get splatted, if they squidbag you, that's actually a good thing, because that means they're not doing anything productive. They're not trying to hunt down the rest of your team. They're not turfing. They're just wasting that time. And it's disadvantageous to them, and it's just a simple mental game where if you don't let it bother you, then nothing bad is really happening. And if it really does bother you that much, you can just push the X button and look at your map, and you don't even have to look at it. So, I mean, there are ways to deal with it. And if they want to, they earned that kind of spot in the game or in the spotlight for their 6 seconds to do whatever they want.
How about you, Kendall?
Well, for me, I love it, man. In all honesty, squidbagging is lame. First off, it's lame. Like, it's like the bottom tier of like actual taunting. Like, you could do so much more. You can like just hold the sub button and dance around. Like, you could just like, some people actually disrespectfully like jump off the map. Yeah, I don't think you've ever. If you haven't seen somebody kill themselves after they kill you, it's one of the most absolute disrespectful things. I think Shaq did it to me actually. Like, he got a quad and then like he killed himself and like automatically. And I'm just like, all right, I understand. You're good. I get it. I get you're good. All right, I understand. But at the end of the day, like, yo, straight up, like, it's a great way to get like just to get people salty. I'm sorry to say it. Like, once you can tell when somebody is getting salty from them when you squidbag them. So I mean, yo, it's all a part of a tactic. Like, I'll tell you right now, when I went to go play DDR with Milana, she was taunting me the whole entire time, basically egging me on to try to like. She was being as nice as possible, so it's also a lie. So I'm just to let you know, it's a part of life, though. I mean, straight up, like in any competitive sport, you're gonna get taunted. You're gonna get like squidbagged, whatever you want to call it. I wish they would add more, in all honesty, into the game. Like I wish there were like dances that you could do mid, like if you could do like the rank X thing mid match.
Oh man!
Every time I get a kill, straight up, every time I get a kill, I am doing it on top of your grave.
That's honestly what I thought it was when they announced it. I thought you could do a rank X taunt. And I'm like, yes, finally.
That'd be so good.
Middle of the
Straight
game.
up.
Oh man.
Have to tweet at Nintendo. Please make this possible. Give me the rank X.
Wakanda forever is what Jack.
Yo, seriously, man. I mean, it's a part of any game. It's a mind game. That's all it is. Like at the end, like what Nine was saying is like it's like going after one player over and over. Like it's a form of a mind game, and some people get tilted off of that because they're targeting you. So it's kind of the same thing. So I mean, learn how to deal with it, understand how to like keep yourself calm, and you'll overcome it. It's just somebody holding ZL over and over again. Like fine.
Yeah, I think in the end it just comes down to people wouldn't do it if it didn't work.
That's also true.
That's about it. It works.
To the point of the other side, I think that you know, it's one thing to be frustrated by it, but for the rest of us, like if someone's frustrated and needs to vent about something, just let them vent. We don't need to continue to add fuel to the fire about all this or call anybody out or anything like that. But yeah, I like Kendall and I were saying earlier, man. Trash talk is just a part of every sport that exists. Straight
up, if I could, I would be the worst individual ever. If it wasn't for the fact that you have to talk to your teammate, actually, like I would straight up like, yo, you're gonna throw this. Like you're not gonna make it to the podium with the objective. Just give up. Seriously, give up the game. Like go home. Like just put your controller down, give it to me, because you're obviously not good enough to play this game, and let's keep going.
No,
like I'm sorry. Spoon's the worst. Don't think that Spoon, like literally he sits there and like, yo, I'm a god. Just stop
Me?
playing. I'm a god.
My God.
Yes,
Yes.
we've heard you.
Yeah,
Oh my God.
I've watched you.
What?
Oh no, Spoon! Do you not remember the tweet that I made after Squidstorm, where it was Canadian Grains VC? It was Hunty.
Yeah.
It was Hunty. So for Hunty, I'm sorry. For Yoko, I'm sorry. Nine, I'm sorry. Spoon, I'm a god.
Yeah.
That's what it was. Every match.
Yes.
It's a freaking Hexen coming over here asking you why you keep shooting the ground.
'Cause I'm
to
the
bring
best.
you down off of the ground.
And I mean, like, it's also like if you go to like for those that are going to like SNS for the first time, if you've never heard Hitzel, that's another form of a mind game. He is literally like you have a headset on. He can be across the room. You could be playing him. He's as loud as possible, and you a lot of teams get distracted by it. Yo, they're all mind games. That's all it is at the end of the day. I can understand some people feel disrespected by it, but not coming at you as a person. Everything stays inside the match. When you take it to Twitter, you make it personal. That's when you actually make it personal, and it shows how salty you are. I'm sorry.
So
for any situation.
If voice chat existed in Splatoon,
Ooh.
Oh no.
I'd be like the guy who's like super friendly at first. I'd be like, "Let's go, team," and then like 5 minutes into the game, be like, "You guys all suck, and I'm the best. You have no idea what you're doing." And by the way, Nine, that's just my tactic to stay positive. Is just thinking I'm the greatest. Like
I heard you saying it.
Yeah, I did. Like if you don't feel good about yourself, you can't motivate others, right? I inspire by leading. So if I say I'm a god, everyone else should think they're a god. You know, that's just how it works.
And I mean, like, if you're a known
Have
person,
I insulted anyone? No, I've only pointed out my not my flaws, my positives.
Just how much better I am than everyone else.
And also, as the game develops, and like, if you're one of those people that somebody knows, like, say for instance, if they're that team, like that, you know that team that's just like, yo, we're gonna do whatever it takes to win. And you're that one person like crying about it on Twitter, not talking about this situation also, but like you're one of those people that's like, yo, I hate squidbagging, I hate all this, I hate this, and like you're in a tournament situation, that one team is just gonna be like, yo, you really hate it that much? Yo, every single time you squidbag that one person. over and over and over and over again because you don't like it, and we're trying to win. So I'm going to put you in the worst situation so that you throw the game for us. Thank you. Yeah. Not me. I'm not that bad of a person.
I feel like a lot of people want to see me play the game.
You're not missing much.
No, you're not. I just go like 3-12, and then I go, oh, man, I rocked it.
No, you'll get 10 for your KA, but then we'll look back at the stats and you're like, oh wow, 9 of those were assists because they just keep throwing point sensors at
you.
Dang.
Point sensor god, you know.
Hey, they were good point sensors, so I give you crap, but much appreciated. Canadian Grains, best team.
Yeah, best team. We were gods. Anyways, let's move on to the next topic. Let me see here. Marcel Splatoon, I think it's on in chat too, said, would you agree that one way to grow the scene would be to actively be looking for sponsors for events, tournaments, teams? I feel this could open the door for bigger, better events with more rewards for winning tournaments now that we would have financial support from sponsors. We kind of touched on this. Well, actually, we touched on this a lot. But what I wanted to take from this was more the actual team part of it. Do you think if teams got sponsored, there would be a lot more financial support going into the scene? Because we always bring it up as like the orgs need to be the one to do it, or like we need to get sponsors, or there needs to be money for prize pools, right? But how would you feel, hypothetically speaking, if a team got sponsored? Do you think that would generate some form of like hype somewhere?
Like a real, like a legitimate STDX
like legitimate
sponsor?
Like a legit sponsor, yes.
Okay.
Not Viper Esports.
Wow. Okay, just call him directly out.
I know.
To your point, though, I think that I think that branding is always a good thing, and we talked earlier about there being 2 brands that really are sustainable and big brands right now, and one of them is a sponsored team, Set to Destroy X. So I think, yeah, I mean, I couldn't quantify it exactly, but I think sponsoring, like a legit sponsor, teams out at LANs kind of build on the rivalry, build with the branding. Yeah, I think there's room for growth. The question is, how do you get that? Difficult.
I mean, I'm more on the opposite end. I think that more teams should just like go kind of like the olive route and actually just start doing it yourself. There's so many avenues of getting your like team and like your name out there. My light's about to fall again as usual. What?
I mean, I would argue that is the way to get sponsored as a team.
Yeah.
You understand what I mean, but like you look at a team like Olive, like obviously they're successful because of like the backing of the names they have, but they're also good at like their social media, just in general with like their YouTube accounts. So I feel like a team like, especially like SKR, if they were to like put up more of like their tournaments on like YouTube, I don't know if you guys do that already. Say for instance, like what you guys had, or like your placements, or just like who you guys are as a team. Also, possibly even just streaming more. I think it would definitely bring in more, just in general, as long as like more individuals, teams do that. I think that will actually help with bringing more sponsors into the scene. So,
I guess having been sponsored very briefly,
I forgot about that.
Being a sponsored meme, I mean a sponsored team for a bit.
Get some OSGs in the chat.
It definitely looks good for if everyone was a sponsored team. I think that would help provide the more of an illusion of like Splatoon, we esports, we out here. Check out so and so versus so and so. It could help build more rivalries, and it would make the scene look good. But with how many teams we have had sponsors for a brief periods, it didn't really change the scene much realistically. But overall, if teams kind of set themselves up with the branding and stuff to like go to get what would attract sponsors, it would, if they're putting in that work already, then it would, that's pretty much the benefit that you'll get. But having an actual sponsor doesn't really in itself change anything for the most part.
Yeah.
I would say it would have, so for anything to really affect the scene in a large way, it would have to be like a big team. And by that I mean like a Team Liquid or a TSM or like
Yeah.
Panda Global.
It's taking a step up here, man.
I'm talking like big leagues, you know. That would like really be like, holy shit. Okay, something's going on here.
Wow.
I would say that would be the only way, in my opinion. What I would say though is, I've talked about this before, where I think that like smaller orgs, it's not a smart decision from a team standpoint. Like if you're getting an org that has like 3 followers and like no brand outreach, like why are you joining them? Like you're not getting anything from them. But that being said though, is that if we had a bunch of those teams like that, they would pay your buy-in for online tournaments. There would be a lot more buy-in for tournaments and a lot more prize pools in that sense. If it was like a communal, everyone pays a prize pool, but we've created this culture where that kind of won't really ever happen. So that's kind of like a dream world scenario, you know? And I still wouldn't encourage it either.
Mm-hmm. And I think someone in the chat said this, and I kind of agree with it. You know, I think that there are not a whole lot of teams that have been around long enough to really justify sponsors, you know? The dissolving that we talked about, you know, it's all well and good to establish, you know, pickups and things like this and kind of move between teams. But if you're an investor or a sponsor in this case, you're not going to want to invest in a product that's going to diffuse by itself shortly. And, you know, I don't necessarily blame anybody for not wanting to sponsor teams. I mean, what like Deep Blues has been around for a long time. Olive's been around, of course, Set Destroy X, but they've been sponsored. I mean, there aren't a whole lot of teams that have really stuck with their same branding and stuck around for a long time.
Is Deep Blues at this point like the longest running?
They're over 2 years old now, so
Sorry.
I couldn't tell you. There may be like, I think that they're one of, if not the. I couldn't definitively say if they are or not, but they're old. They're old.
And the next thing I will say is, in regards to actually getting one of those spots, it would have to be a bigger team like a Team Olive. It has to be someone who gets viewers and has a social aspect to it, just because we're not big enough where you could just be good and be like, oh yeah, we're gonna sign you. It needs to have like that social content aspect to it. Also, that being said, this is kind of a side tangent because someone brought up, because someone said, what does STDX gets from sponsoring gamers? And I want to point out one thing. By the way, I'm not sponsored by STDX. I don't endorse them whatsoever. It's just, I want to point out that they're super smart, okay? Because they did something that no one else did, and they're really capitalizing on it. STDX, from a monetary perspective, may lose money for doing what they do, but they gain so much recognition from it. In the sense of, they signed a Pokken player who's #1 in Pokken. They signed the #1 player for ARMS. They signed the #1 Splatoon team. They signed what?
Go back. The word that you said.
Pokken? Pokken tournament? Pokemon?
All right, keep going. Keep going. Now you keep going back to what you said. I'm surprised. Brad, 9, I'm disappointed in you in letting that go, but all right, keep going. Sorry,
man. It's a losing battle.
He's Canadian.
Anyways, Pokken tournament. I'm just saying they've dominated the whole esports Nintendo scene in a way, like not Smash, but everything else around it. That anytime you bring up kind of an esport within Nintendo that's not Smash, STDX is on the cover of it, essentially. So yeah, you could say like, what are they doing sponsoring these people? It's like, yeah, but now we're all like, this is the team that is actually helping us. This is the team that's going for recognition. It's pretty smart. Like, even if like a couple of them don't work out, like they still have that like that scene where it's like they're willing to go that way and they're looking for the best. Like, I don't know, it's pretty good. So
yeah, they invested in some really good stock early, so yeah, makes sense.
Looking for it to pay off, and if it doesn't, they still get a bunch of marketing from it, so it works out. Think about it. Think of all the articles that are posted about esports and Splatoon. All of them have STDX on it. Every single one.
Yep. I mean, the most popular events that people have seen all over, STDX won. And
Yeah.
it's
So
STDX there and there and there. So yeah, I agree. It's
side
really...
tangent, but it was just more like if people are like, what do they gain? It's like, dude, they've probably recouped on a lot of what they thought they would get because they've just dominated as the only sponsored team in like all these scenes. So just want to bring that up. Does anyone want to add anything to that, specifically teams? Because we kind of went over tournaments and sponsors and stuff like that multiple times. So if you want to watch those, go back to our previous cast. We talk about it like on every show.
I guess the final thing I'll say is there's certainly, it won't hurt. And there's only so much to be gained from it, if anything at all.
Okay, I have one from SS Sampson. He says, it appears a lot of players are becoming demotivated, and again, teams are disbanding. I guess the ethereal news? I don't know. What can we do to keep the scene interesting, not just for spectators, but for players as well? Prize
I feel
pools.
like we answered this. Yeah, I'm about to say, I feel like we answered this. Money.
From a tournament perspective, there's not much more than you can do than give money. Give an incentive or give prizes, something like this. What can you do from a tournament perspective that would encourage a team to play other than giving them an incentive? You can make the format like perfect and it still won't encourage a lot of people to play. So that's it. I don't know, Brad, do you have any thoughts? What encourages you to play in tournaments?
I guess looking at it from a smaller, more basic angle, just do what you like having fun with. Like, I feel people don't know how to have fun with this game as much as they used to. And for me personally, that comes from like my smaller goals of trying to perform well as a roller player and being able to use any roller. That was a goal I wanted to have since the beginning of the game, and I feel I've made great strides toward that. But also, I just like the group of people I play with, and it's also fun to try and find new people to play with. But I don't think we like talking to each other much.
You're saying just as like a community in general?
I mean, yeah, it's like people always want to have like people to play with, but I mean, might be because they're too shy or they just don't really know how to approach other people, but
no, I think it's because we all love shit talking each other.
I mean, that too. That probably burns some bridges unnecessarily, but if like just every week just someone found like one random person to play with, or I'll even say once a month you find one new person to play with, at the end of a year that's 12 people that you could be playing with. That's 3 different pickup teams you'd have, and that's more than what that a lot of people would have, I'd say. But we all just stick in our little discords and cliques, and I mean, it's not the worst thing in the world, but some people don't like where they are, but they're not reaching out into other avenues.
Yeah, that's a great point. And having fun with the game, that's a great way to put it. And that is sort of kind of a personal thing. I mean, motivation only extends as far as your love of the game is. And yeah, you got to remember to have fun with it and enjoy playing it and have fun with your friends. And if that means not playing it for a little bit, that's fine too. Breaks are good. And I mean, that goes back to several conversations that we've had about how important breaks are. But I do feel like there's only so much that TOs can do outside of like, you know, money, like you said. I mean, you could run a tournament that's the perfect format that people want with teams they like, and eventually, you know, people would kind of just see it as another tournament. So not that I'm saying there aren't improvements that can be made, but, you know.
There's going to be a surge. There's going to be a surge after E3.
Yeah.
It's going to start.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And Octo
the highs,
expansion and stuff too.
the highs and the lows. That's really all it is right now.
Well, and
There'll
not
be
only
another
that,
surge.
I think a big thing too is a lot of people are like, oh, there's no big tournaments anymore, and it's like, have you ever thought that maybe people are kind of I mean, I don't want to speak on behalf of other people, but have you ever thought that maybe it's something that is like, we don't want to have a big tournament that's like $100. We'd like to have a big tournament that is like a lot more money, that makes more sense as like a major, right? That actually gets people incentivized to come play. And I feel like that's kind of where people are heading now, is like, everyone's talking about not having money, but at the same time, like, if you win $25, is that something you really care about? So it's kind of gauging perspective on that too. Sorry, another thing I want to bring up too is that we keep talking about like perfect tournaments, but it's like, some people like some way that one tournament's run, and some people like the way another tournament is run. And you know what? You can't please everyone sometimes either. So when it comes down to just incentive, it's money. I think also if we add prize pools to things, you'll see less people complaining about tournaments too. Or if they do, they don't really have any merit to do
I was about to say.
Well, no, but it's more like you can be like, okay, yeah, just don't play in it. It's as simple as that, right? And you can say that for it now, but there's so many tournaments that don't have a prize pool that everyone can kind of complain about it. But if you start putting a prize pool on things, people are a lot more forgiving because there's money at stake.
Yeah,
agreed.
What's the next question?
All right. This one is from Kent Coloflame. It says, what do you guys think is the best weapon class? And yes, brushes and nozzle nose are their own class.
Oh, that's a lot easier than it should be. Are we counting rapids as their own class?
Blasters. I'm just saying it now, so I don't have to like feel like I'm the last on blasters. There you go.
Okay, I'll add an additional. What's your favorite weapon class?
Blasters.
You, Kendall?
Can Stingray count as a class?
No.
Oof.
Does it count as a weapon as its own? Like, can we just count Stingray? No. On a serious note, I mean, if you see my stream, I love the pro series. Like, I talk about it all the time. I love pros. Like, straight up, I love pros.
Yeah, I would say that my favorite is blasters, but I think the sloshers are probably the best overall class. I don't think that there's a bad slosher. I mean, maybe the vanilla slosher, but like, that's still fine. It's not a bad weapon. It's just not as good as its variants.
Yeah, I'm gonna cast my vote for sloshers because I am so in love and jealous with their frame data and just how fast they can attack, but also how much damage it is per output. And you don't even have to hit them cleanly. If they just barely get touched, it's still the full damage. And that's insane.
Yeah, I think sloshers are pretty good. Like, blasters and sloshers. If I had to pick my favorite, though, nozzle noses. I love nozzle noses. They're just so much fun to play. I think they're underrated,
I can agree in that. Like, in theory, I want to be a nozzle nose player, but then I go into solo queue and I'm just like, yeah, back where it needs to be.
That's me.
So, yeah.
Nozzle nose is awesome.
I mean, also on top of that, I wish I could be an ink brush man. So
that's a bold-faced lie.
Whoa,
you know it.
Whoa! Someone clip that. Someone clip it.
I love ink brushes. If you ever need a teammate that will ignore the objective and go flank every single time, you will always count on the ink brush. If you need a player that will absolutely never work with the team or play the objective, it just
what
works
about
out.
Clan Blitz?
You're broken, Spoon. You're broken.
That's just the god tier. That's just the god tier of all weapons. Like in itself. Like literally, if you want a weapon that you can never hit, they pick up 9 clams as quickly as possible. It's god tier. It's like, honestly, like, I don't understand why everybody doesn't run it. I don't understand why nobody on. We should just see quad brushes. Like, I see no problem with it. So I mean, we must encourage our brush players and let them know that we love them and that all right, I'm done. Let's keep going.
Anyone
His lie is done.
Anyone
right.
time that?
I have a question that's I guess more related to Kendall, but I guess this could relate to all of us in a way. But I'd say it's more specifically Kendall because he's literally talked about in this question. It says, it's from Day, by the way. Day pronounced like Day. With Splatoon, with Splatoon 2 growing, there have been a handful of streamers who have been gaining a lot of popularity. People like Milana, Kendall, Aribun, to name a few. What are some ways these streamers can collaborate to bring more attention and develop the Splatoon scene / community?
Collaborate. In my opinion, I think the biggest one is also like having a presence on different social media platforms and YouTube. I dread it. I don't want to do it. It's I find streaming so much easier. I can rant for hours. Trust me. There's nothing I can't rant about. I promise.
I don't think any of us are doubting that, Kendall.
That I can rant for hours. But like I think that a bigger one is like just like YouTube is a big one. And working with other like people, like say for instance like with like what Bread's doing now, and like people just want to hear your opinions. So if you can like take clips of what you've talked about and put it either straight to YouTube, I think that like would be a huge thing, because there's he what?
Petting
I'm getting distracted by him petting his cat. Nope, go on. But like on top of that is actually just like taking your clips and like possibly putting them up there. Also, it's one of the biggest things I remember from Milana when talking to her. It's like the community building. I don't know about like collaborating yet as like as streamers. I don't know what more you can do, because like say for instance I do a lot of like multi streams with Melissa Acid Sunshine, and just like reaching out to different streamers. I think I don't know any other way that you could possibly do it, but that's the best answer I can really give at this point. So if anybody else has anything else to say.
I mean, maybe I have like a weird opinion, but
Sure.
I guess their job is to entertain their viewers, and from that new people will come in and just enjoy Splatoon. I don't think they have an obligation to get people in or collaborate together. Like,
well, I mean, like,
I don't think there's any obligation for it. It's like how often do you actually think about doing things with other people? Most of the time you're just like, I want to please my own chat, I want to do my own thing, right? Like it's not often, I feel.
I mean, in all honesty, a lot of us, like, I would say like a few of us, say even like now, like just shouting out Filet-O-Fish in the morning is another really like popular streamer he has a really great channel. Like just even Milana, just like reaching out to them and talking to them. A lot of them do have, especially us, like, I think Milana's only the real one that like does like other games while streaming. But I think all of us have like the same goal of like actually like either we came from competitive. I think Milana's still like one of the only ones that's like really a competitive player. But like the goal at the end of the day is still trying to like reach out and like build up Splatoon. I mean, it's a good thing for everybody, especially with like growing your channel, because obviously more viewers equal, yeah. So I mean, it should be like one of the bigger goals, obviously, to try to bring more people into the Twitch section so that they can just see more people in general. So and I think like the best examples obviously is like Dude, like he's had probably the best success off of just like, obviously he's a really good player, but on top of that he does content, and people come to his channel from YouTube because of the fact that he uploads there, says like, hey, I'm streaming at this point in time, and people come over and they watch. And obviously I think that's one of the ways that it could possibly help like bring in viewers. And it doesn't have to be like crazy things like, oh, I'm gonna come up with like weapon tier lists, because obviously not everybody's great at that. It could be just like simple things, simple, fun, and just showing people like what you do on your stream. Or you could talk about Splatoon, and then that could bring more people in. So that's just my opinion.
Yeah. I guess to kind of just add on to that, even if like I agree with what both of you saying that your stream is your stream and you should brand it however you want. And if that doesn't necessarily mean you talk about competitive or play competitive, that's totally fine. I think a really simple thing though is if a tournament, like a big tournament is coming up or a big event, is just, you know, maybe mention when it's coming on your stream, you know, just a little thing like that, or just be like, hey guys, if you want to see any more Splatoon content like this, I know there's a big tournament going on there, and it's just kind of, you know, planting the seed in people's minds. And I don't think it has to be intrusive to your typical stream or how you do it to do that. So I think at the very least, that's something that everybody can do.
Yeah, I guess I'll piggyback on that. Because I really like how you mentioned planting the seed, which I think that's a great way to view growing the Splatoon community. Just do little things to water the seed to help it actually grow. Just like whether you want to retweet some free agent posts to help new teams form, so someone looking for a team or looking to build a team has or another resource to try and find other people. We can retweet some tournaments whenever those happen, because we all know tournaments need more advertising and more eyes to see them, so more people will enter. When it comes to like streamers, choosing maybe not the person with already the highest viewer count, choosing someone with maybe like only 3 viewers, just going to host them. And that little motivation from someone with a small stream getting eyes on them, that can be huge, and you don't know who you might be affecting. And because I could easily say, looking from where Kendall is now to where he started, I think I started watching Kendall back when he was a very small streamer, because I didn't really even know who he was, but I just kept seeing this name in solo queue, and I'm just like, oh look, I recognize that name. I'm just gonna go watch his stream. Just hang out in his stream, and yeah, it was cool. And we all love Kendall now, but like, who knows how many other Kendalls we could be spawning and other great personalities that could be developing. But it's just because the smaller streamers, they just don't have like the eyes, and then some of them just lose that motivation because they're like, oh, I'm streaming but nobody's watching, why should I keep going? And who knows how many of like personalities and talents we might be losing just because we're not paying attention to them. And then it's just other ways you can help grow the community and water the seed. And we're always wanting the scene to grow, but it's like, what are we actively doing to help grow the scene other than just wishing and yelling at our potted plant to grow?
I mean,
you ran with that analogy the whole way, and that was beautiful.
I mean, I might fight you on that a little bit.
Bring it. What you got?
I think the point is more to get casual viewers into the scene to watch it, more than to have other people. I don't want to say like have other people hosted. Like, the idea of hosting is pretty cool. Like, I'm all for it. Like, if we can find someone that we can host, we'll host them. If we think someone's pretty cool, we'll host them. If we find a random stream that we think someone's doing something cool, we do it. Like on BNS before, we used to host 1-2Q. We used to re-stream 1-2Q sometimes, you know. So it's not to say that I'm like against that in particular, but I think the idea of it should be more on getting more people into it. And that could be from maybe getting streamers from other games into our game, getting bigger people into it. Yeah, exactly. You got Ninja on there. Oh my god, that would blow it up, right? So I think that's more what I'm trying to come from, is like, you want to try and get from communities that already have viewers. If you're getting like Kendall's viewers into someone else's stream who's also Splatoon, you're just having an insular ecosystem. Like, Kendall's viewers are now just X person's viewers. Milana's viewers are now just this person, all within Splatoon. Like, there's no growth in that sense. So I think the collaborating is more with people who already have viewers trying to expand their growth. And I'm not saying it's not important to get the little people involved, but I don't think that's the way to grow it. I think that's just a way to grow within community. Like, that grows streamers within the community, doesn't necessarily expand it further, I guess.
I don't think you have to. I don't think those two have to be like a one or the other situation either.
Well, no, and
I think it's important to get new people into the scene.
It's synergetic.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, it's like, this isn't something that you should be thinking about on the radio. Like, oh my god, I need to reinvest into the scene. It's like, you host someone at the end of your stream because you're like, oh, I'm just gonna host this person, and that in fact just brings viewers into the game. Like, it is a natural synergy. It's more just, you know, there's the bigger scale and there's the smaller scale of things, I guess.
Mm-hmm. I think they're both important.
Yeah, no, they're definitely more important. Just, I think in terms of the discussion we're having, we're looking for external, like, new faces. So that's more why I meant it. I think in the end we're all in agreement about it. It's just different takes on how we think the right step is, how the first step is, I guess. I'm looking at it like we get a lot of people in, and then you share the wealth, as opposed to, you know, I guess that's how I'm looking at it. Outside than in. But anyways, let's go into. This will be the final question, but it's kind of a mix of two because a lot of people have been asking this, but I figured I'd make a cool take on it. Where do you guys see the competitive scene in a year or two? We brought this up with goals, like, what do you see our goals, but I'd rather make this more of a, where do you see competitive Splatoon in a year or two, or the game itself? And a lot of people have been asking things like, what are your thoughts with the relationship with us, and not us like InkTV, just like
the community and Nintendo. So I guess that's kind of what I want to bring up is where do you see the game in 1 to 2 years? Do you think Nintendo has a big factor in this or not? Just kind of your takes.
I guess in terms of Nintendo, I can kind of see it how it is, or it'd be basically how it is now. They're not really like they're watching, but they're not actively intervening with the scene. And unless all the ban hammers drop, that could be a different timeline. But I guess
I'll give you time to
think.
That's a hard one, man.
Yeah,
That
I feel
is-
like this is a difficult question. Like, what you... So, I guess the best way to describe it is, what do you think is your reasonable dreams for a year to two, and what do you think is the realistic?
Well, dream is that there's... Go ahead, now.
I was just going to say, I think the realistic expectation is that we won't get another E3 Splatoon event. I think that's the first realistic expectation that we can all kind of probably agree. It could happen again, but I 100% do not think it's going to happen. I think that it's kind of run its little shelf life on that. It'll still be a popular game and maybe still have some developer support. I don't think we'll be getting E3. What I do think, and I think is a realistic goal, is with Smash coming out, and Spoon, I know that you have your own opinions on Splatoon tagging along to Smash events, but I think that that is going to be the major avenue for growth and for eyes, because that's going to be the only way to get consistent lands. And I know how you feel about it.
No,
we've had so many lands because of this.
Will
We've got so
actually,
many eyes.
I'll change my opinion a little bit because I've refined more what I feel about it.
Sure.
Wow.
And then to kind of continue with that, oh man, I think so. A year from now, I think that it'll be on the community itself to host its own form of an open event, an Inkling open event. And if we're not able to cash in on that, and especially with E3 coming out here, strike while this iron is hot, I think within a year from now we could be starting to see a stagnation. And I don't want to see that, but I'm also I'm a positive dude. I'm always positive, but I also think that every game that doesn't have major developer support and money has an artificial shelf life. And we didn't hit that in Splatoon 1 because the game was only like 2 years old when Splatoon 2 came out.
Because the game was dead before it launched.
Yeah, being on the Wii U.
It's just the Wii U. It was the fact it was on the Wii U.
It's true. But I think that I think it's really going to be on us to identify and grow the parts of the scene that we need to if we want to keep the eyes on it, because I don't think E3 is in the works for another year.
How about you guys?
Dream is a Splatoon League. Live. Every day.
Every day?
Every day.
I mean, that's like a pipe dream, but that'd be pretty sweet, man.
You asked for the dream, man.
That is a sweet dream.
Are you talking like a kind of like maybe a Ludi of sorts, but
well, I think
even
it's more thinking
somewhat
like
step above that?
Overwatch League, but Splatoon.
Oh, okay.
No.
Gotcha.
Actually, Avery was correct.
No, more like a Ludi.
Well, I don't honestly, as long as it is a league that has consistent stat tracking and a website that everybody can easily access and see all over with great presentation. I don't care if it's like Overwatch League live every day. I don't care if it's Ludi, but just a league that I can point people to and say, this is the definitive thing that you need to be watching if you want to get an idea of what competitive Splatoon is. If you want storylines, this is what you should look at. And you know, maybe saying that's a pipe dream is a bit negative of me, but I do feel like it's very important to do.
Kendall?
Dream. Well, not dream. But in the next year, like for me, obviously, this is going off of like things that I've done already. I would really like to see a more local presence in Splatoon in general. That's one of the things that I wish that I could see, like from just like more lands, just in general, obviously, and seeing maybe more of a push for like obviously the grassroots approach, and trying to see how many people we can get from like each like city to city, and bringing them in. Dream for me, I just really hope that like in a year or two we're not talking about Splatoon 3. I hope that like we make sure that this game like rides out as like long as possible. But That's really it for me. I can't see, like, for right now, like, competitive, that's still a hard question of seeing where competitive's going to go. Really, I just wish to see more faces out, like, in the public, and that's really it.
Yeah. I think it can go one of two ways. I think it can just stagnate and continues the way it is, and we see some small growth, you know what I mean? It just keeps growing a little bit. I think as long as, like Nye mentioned, if we're piggybacking off of Smash events and stuff like that, it'll never really go away, because it'll always kind of exist within that realm, but it's always going to be the secondary. That being said, though, I don't think we're that far away from it snowballing. I think Splatoon will snowball more than it will like raise in levels. I think if once we get like a sponsor, or once we get some big event, it'll start scaling into another big event and another big event and another big event. Like, it'll just stay more consistent at that level. At least that's what I've seen so far. I feel like everything in Splatoon, like, once someone makes a change, it consistently stays at that level. At least from what I've seen from everything. And I think Nintendo's involvement, they're a lot more dedicated than where they were before, so that puts us in a good position. And I think it makes it a little bit easier for, like, sponsors and stuff to be willing to come into it, which sounds weird, but it does, just a little. And then to piggyback off of Nine's comment, since he's back right now, and he was bringing up Smash events. I don't actually have an issue entirely with Smash events piggybacking. Like, you can do it for some events. My thing more is that I feel like you still need those events that are exclusively Splatoon or not branded as Smash events. Like, Switch Fest is okay because it's all Switch games meant to be celebrating the Switch, or like a Nintendo Fest. But like, when you literally focus on this is a Smash event and Splatoon is there, is like, yeah, that's totally cool. It's a cool way to bring in viewers. I'm not saying it's not good, but I think that it can't be the norm. Those can't be our big events. Our big events need to be our big events, if that makes sense. Like, Squidstorm needs to be Squidstorm. It can't be Smash and it can't be Squid Smash or whatever you want to call it. Actually, that'd probably be pretty dope. It's half-half, but
Squid Smash. Well, what do you think of like more Genesis 5-esque events then?
Like, Genesis 5 is just called Genesis 5.
Right.
It doesn't have anything, like, people who are in the Smash community know that it's Smash, but its connotation just being called Genesis doesn't really have anything to do with it, you know? So it's okay, but everyone knows it's a Smash event. I guess me, it's more the marketing towards it.
Sure, that's fair.
That's really it. What do I see in a year? Yeah, like I said, I think what we do now until the end of this year is a huge deciding factor in what happens for the next year after that. I know that sounds logical, but I really mean it. Like, like, this is like the last chance. Let's put it that way. Like, we always say there's another chance. Splatoon 2 is coming out. Oh, we have an E3 World Championship coming out. This is probably the last time you're going to hit a spike. An expansion's coming out. You have the next tournament. You have the Splatoon tournament. All eyes are on that tournament right now. So, great way to get player spotlight. You know what I mean? Like, everything is kind of on this. And we need to ride the coattails of this as best as we can and then work from there. I think that's my personal opinion.
Sure. I mean, it makes sense. The biggest influx of eyes and viewers are going to be on the scene with E3. And it's important to take advantage of that. It makes sense.
So yeah, it's a mix of the two. Anyways,
all right.
Does anyone want to add anything here? Bread, do you want to add anything? Bread? Did he go?
He said, "Hold up."
Oh, he's gone. Oh, wait, no, he's back.
Hello?
He's back.
Am I back now?
Yes.
Hey.
Is there
All
anything
right,
you
there we go.
want to
I
add?
was like, wait, hello? Okay. No, I guess to even I was gonna say to give us some credit from what we're building up to, because we had some pretty big events. We had Squidstorm, then we had our surprise G5, and we had a bunch of other smaller lands like the Long Islands, and those have been getting even bigger now. And then we have the Open. So in terms of trying to continue that momentum even forward, I guess we need to find something even bigger, or at least big enough to come off of from an E3. And as we were saying, these next few, what we do now might determine what our future will be. But we don't really have any, like, easy, yeah, this is for sure our next step. But if we can figure out something, I think that'll definitely go a long way.
Yep. All right.
But it's been a nice run so far.
That about
Definitely
wraps up our show. Any shout-outs you guys want to give?
Shout-outs to Bob the Hobo is Cool for coming and spending the weekend with me. Flew all the way in from Ohio.
burn those suits.
Burn those suits. Burn them. But that was great. Fred, Avery for coming over as well. We had a great evening just playing a bunch of different games and having a good time watching Kendall stream. Noreen as well, Jordan, we all got together, had a little St. Louis Splatoon just jamboree. It was all a great time. So shout outs to the friends that we make in this community.
That's real.
Yeah, friendship. I like it.
All right, Fred, what do you want to plug anything? You want to shout out some stuff?
I guess I gotta give a shout out. I'll be in trouble, but a shout out to my fiance. She told me I better. So hi. But I guess in terms of plugs, almost all of my things are GingerbreadMan17. My Twitter, my YouTube, my Twitch. My Twitch is very inactive at the moment because I'm working on getting a new computer, but I'll be up and streaming sometime in the future. Yeah, just GingerbreadMan17, and you'll find me.
Just shout out to the corner and Spoon. I have to. Thank you guys for allowing a dream to come true. And seriously, I love you guys and thank you, man. Everybody else that's supported and obviously everybody that I do InkRadio with. Thank you guys, seriously.
All right, and
it means a lot.
I want to shout out. We're doing a couple things. So yeah, like I said, we're all going to E3, Kendall included. So stay tuned. We're working on things that we want to do for E3. We're coming up with some ideas. I know people want to see some Kendall and Spoon videos, so we're thinking of ways that we can make it work that work out pretty good.
That's gonna be good.
We know you guys love seeing us argue, so we'll find a way to make ourselves argue for you.
Oh wait, obvious one. Try and get a match of you two playing as Inklings in the new Smash.
That's not arguing though, because that's.
I mean, if you're doing some trash talking, then there you go.
No, but it's not.
That's all you need.
Let's see this patented.
Do some actual taunts.
But it's not a. No, that's trash talking. But it's not a difference of opinion. Me and Kendall thrive when we have a difference of opinion.
But, yeah.
Kendall's opinion is that he's gonna win, and your opinion's that you're gonna win. But one of them could be the right opinion.
No, I'm gonna lose. I'm really bad at Smash and fighting games.
I actually have played Smash a little bit, so
there you go. See,
so
if I'm not confident, then it doesn't matter.
I know, because you're trash. So we can keep going. So, but
Hey, and it begins.
Oh man.
Anyways,
a great. Someone in the chat just said K and S. That should be the name of all the videos that you guys do there. K and S.
Anyways, we'll figure out what we can do. We've been thinking of some stuff, so we'll keep that going. We're hopefully gonna have some interviews and other things going on for E3. So stay tuned to us doing that stuff. It'll be pretty dope. And yeah, another thing is that BNS is this Thursday, and we got an anonymous donor to give us $50 to a prize pool for this Thursday. And we're also incentivizing free agents. Any free agent who makes a top, I believe it's top 4 or top 8, I'll have to check it again, wins $20. And if you win the tournament, you get an additional 40 on top of the 50 if you're a free agent team. The next thing is if you Blake is going to be having a donation stream right after this to fund for basically the last BNS before everyone goes to Smash and Splash. We won't be having a BNS that week, so this is the final one before we take a week break. So yeah, everyone tune in, sign up if you haven't. It's basically free money. And yeah, and tune into Blake and donate if you want to donate to a prize pool. And that'll be it. So see you guys. Everyone have a great night. I'll see you guys later.
Can you tell me where the hope has gone? Can you tell me where the love went wrong? Do you remember what it sounds like? We can turn the love back on.
Like another, my favorite one was like Autobots versus Decepticons. That was my favorite one. No, I'm not looking at my screen. I'm not looking at my screen. Like another, my favorite.
Neon bar, crowded rooms, still everyone's too lame to make a move. But we are wicked fools and lose it on the floor, just me and you. Don't tell us to stop, nah, 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 nah. We're switching it up, nah, 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 nah. And go till it drop. Don't tell us to stop, nah, 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 nah. We're gonna dance like we're out of regrets, 'cause we love how the sound's going straight to our heads. Too loud, guess we're as good as it gets, 'cause they look at us. We are what they wanna be when we are dancing. We are what they wanna be. We are what they wanna be. Cloud of smoke, hard to breathe, ain't stopping us from moving to the beat. Bodies close,